for the recording. For the recording start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo High School, Quezon City, Metro Manila, Philippines. Okay, welcome to 10 Mars. Okay, so how are you today, 10 Mars? Are you feeling okay? Kumusta? Wala bang ano? Hindi ba kayo binisita ni COVID? Okay, so wag niyong papasukin yan ha. Okay, so galit-galit daw muna, galit-galit. Okay, so before we formally start, let us have first a review from our previous lesson. Anybody to have a recap of what have you learned from the past lesson? Anyone?
Sir,
Sir,
mahilay,
ako
sir.
po.
Yes, Mahinay. What have you learned from the past lesson?
The different phases of the menstrual cycle, sir.
Okay, yes. Okay, can you please tell us when is the fertility or the infertile period? Fertile and the infertile period? The
Uh,
days.
the fertility period is
The infertile. Start with the infertile one. Day 1 to what? Day 1 to...
4.
Okay, day 1 to day 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so day 1 up to 7. Melvin. Ano yan, Melvin? Ba't nagwawala ka dyan, Melvin?
Shut na, pre!
Sir, but... Sir,
Okay, for a while, tatanggalin ko lang si Melvin. Natanggal na ba si Melvin?
yes
Si...
po, sir.
Okay. So, just tell me kung bumalik siya ang ingay. Siguro yung kapitbahay nila yun. Gi-away-away. Okay, so shot na raw, shot. Kaya ibig sabihin na yun. Mukhang nakipag-inuman to siya na. Si Melvin ah. Okay, so once again, the fertile is day 1 to day infertile. Okay, ibig sabihin hindi mabubuntis from day 1 up to day 7. Okay, so how about the fertile period? What are the days of the fertile period?
Sir,
Yes,
8 to
Angelica.
21 days po.
Okay, yes. From day 8 to day 21. So girls, be careful ha. Bibilangin yung maayos. That's for natural method. Okay, so then for the infertile, babalik ulit from day 22 to
28.
28. Yes, every 28 lang. Okay, so yung ano natin. So that's the all about the menstrual cycle. Then we have the family planning. Okay, what are the 2 ways on how to control our babies? We have what? Artificial or natural family planning. Okay, so we have the artificial and the natural. For the natural family planning, we have 3. Okay, so we have the calendar or rhythm method. Okay, what's next? We have the withdrawal method. And the third one is lactational. Okay, so pag sinabi natin calendar method, you will just observe the calendar. Okay, so for the withdrawal, what is the Latin word for withdrawal? Oh, hindi kayo nakikinig ah. We have Latin words for withdrawal method. We have okay. Please open your camera. Nakabukas kayo. Please listen well. Okay, please focus. Okay, sayang sayang yung data. Okay, so sayang yung data, nag-aaral tapos wala namang natututunan. Okay, so we have coitus interruptus. Okay, so for that one. Then for the artificial, we usually use what? For the boys, we usually use Condoms. Okay, so we usually use condoms. Okay, so much for that. Let's move on now to the next one. Okay, so now I have here a video. What you're going to do is, okay, so what you're going to do is to follow. Okay, you're going to do the same in your house. Okay, so you need to ask your parents to have a partner. Okay, so to make your parents as partner. So may mga magulang ba kayo dyan? Okay, tatay, nanay. Okay, so you're going to watch the video first, then you are going to do it by your partner. Okay, or tatay or nanay. Please open your camera as you do it. But before that, okay, listen first to the video. Okay, so watch first so that you can imitate. Okay, so this is a magic or this is a trick. Okay, so but how the trick goes and how does science explain on this? Okay, listen to this one.
They say the hand is quicker than the eye. But is that always true? Michael, I'd like to try this as a game with you. Do you have any cash on you?
Yeah.
What do you got?
10.
$10. Okay. Let's do this as kind of like a little bar bet. Crumple it into a ball. Then would you hold out your hand flat above it? Keep your hand flat as you can. As fast as you can, I want to see you grab that bill. It's pretty quick. So what if we escalated that and I took $100? I say finders keepers. We put that as a crumpled ball on the table. That becomes our target. And I'm gonna put my hand about here. So your hand is already halfway there, but do you think it's possible for me to grab the bill before you do?
No.
Okay. When you see my hand begin to move, I want you to grab the money. Okay?
What do you think? Would you take the bet? Your $10 against Apollo's 100? Plus, you have a 1-foot head start to grab the money first. Of course you would, right? Well, let's see how this plays out.
Wow.
And he wasn't the only one who took the bet.
Dang it.
In this case, I get to keep it. Perhaps we give you a second chance.
Okay, so you will just imitate this one. Okay, so me, I know who would take the bet. Okay, sinong gusto? I'll give you plus points. Sino ang may tatay, nanay? Jasmine, nandiyan ba yung tatay mo, nanay mo? Ang ikuha lang ng barya o ano. Okay, so ang gagawin lang ay focus mo lang yung camera sa gagawin nyo. Okay, tapos yung nanay mo, yung kamay nandito. Tapos yung ikaw medyo malayo, nasa taas. Yung kamay mo nasa taas. Okay, so gagalaw lang yung kamay ng nanay mo or tatay mo kung gumalaw na yung kamay mo. Okay, so ibig sabihin, paunahan kayo. Pero hindi pwedeng mauna yung nanay mo. Ikaw muna mauna kasi ikaw yung nasa malayo eh. Okay, now, ang tanong doon, makukuha kaya ng nanay mo yung pera doon, katulad ng ginawa. Okay, anyone who would like to do? Okay, would you like to try, Jasmine? Andiyan ba? Sinong nandyan sa bahay?
Wala po.
Si?
Wala po.
Ay, wala kang kasama? So, hindi ka nagsasalita, ikaw talaga. Sinong may kasama sa bahay na pwedeng gumawa?
Kumakain kasi sir sila.
Ha?
Kain po sila.
Oh, kumakain. Sabi mo muna, mamaya ano kung kumain. Saglit lang ka mo, saglit lang. Barya, tapos kukunin lang doon. Okay, so it's just a demonstration. Anyone? Yes.
Paano sir pag mauna siya?
Ay, titingnan nga natin eh. Titingnan natin. Okay, go. Have the camera open, please. Para makita ng classmates mo. So, we will do it scientifically. Okay, so, and we will explain that scientifically later. Okay, go.
Maunahan lang po ba kami sir?
Opo, camera muna. Buksan mo yung camera. Tapos tuturo kung paano gagawin. Di ba yung katulad sa video? Okay, open your camera. Ayaw nyo nun. Gagawin nyo lang. Ano na kayo? O, 90 na.
Opo sir.
92 na, 93. Ayaw nyo nun. Gagawin nyo lang.
Pera sir.
Okay, go. Barya o bills, okay lang. Walang problema. Kaso Valyes, dapat may camera ka kaso pa namin makikita.
Oo nga po, sir. Wait lang po. Wala ko pera. Kuya,
Okay. Sino pa? Sino pang may kuya? Ate dyan.
Ako na lang, sir. Velasco, sir. Ate ko.
Dalawa kayo, dalawa gagawa. Okay, sige. Pagkatapos ni Valyes, ikaw naman Joseph. Very good. Okay, go. Uy, secretary. Sino yung secretary natin, Mr. President?
Medyoan mo kami ni ate. Dali,
Okay, go.
wait lang.
Okay, so sa lamesa, itapat sa lamesa sa gagawin nyo.
Opo, sir. Yan. Ilagay mo
Okay.
yung pagkain mo.
Tapos, yung kamay...
Sir, mauna na ako, sir.
Then, si Valyes okay na, gumagawa na. So, si Valyes, nandito. Oh, yung camera mo, ayusin mo. Ano, Valyes, Limuel. Maria Limuel.
Ano yung camera mo? Ganyan. Ano ginagawa mo? Ganyan.
Okay, tapos yung kamay ng partner mo nasa baba. Kasi ikaw medyo malayo.
Okay, sir.
Tapos, kukunin niya lang yung pera. Kapag gumalaw ka na, paunahan na kayo doon. Okay, ready? Tingnan ko nga. Hindi namin nakikita yung kamay. Kailan makita yung kamay? Sa camera, yan mo sa camera yung kamay. Yan, okay. So, let's go. Okay, let's check.
Huwag mo iharap sa amin nakatarap yung camera, hindi sa'yo, kuya.
Sa ginagawa nyo yung camera, hindi sa mukha nyo.
Yan. Ganyan po, sir.
Okay, go.
Dito ka, ate.
Yung kamay, nasa yung kamay. Hindi namin,
Paunahan tayo.
hindi namin nakikita.
Ano ba, kuya?
Okay.
Ganyan nga.
Okay.
Ganyan. Yan, nakikita mo kami.
2 floors yung kamay
Wait lang
nyo.
po, sir. Ayan.
Okay.
Yan.
Kasi yung kamay, hindi nakikita. Okay.
Tayo.
Okay. Sige, position, yung kamay. Ang kalaban. Okay.
Hindi ko kasi narinig yung sinasabi.
Yung kalaban mo nasa baba.
Ganyan.
Tapos mata. Baba pa. Yan. Baba pa. Baba pa yung kamay ng... Okay. Yan. Tapos ikaw nasa taas. Yan. Gagalaw lang yung kapartner mo kapag gumalaw na yung kamay mo. Okay, ready?
Pag gumalaw na yung kamay ko, na tayo
Okay.
kukuha ng pera.
Okay. Go!
10. 1, 2, 3, go!
Huwag kang magbilag. Huwag kang magbilag. Nagbibilang ka eh. Huwag kang magbilang. Hayaan mo lang. Walang words sasabihin. Okay. Walang words. Okay, once again.
Ulit.
Go.
Ali. Baba, anong tayo mo eh?
Okay. Huwag ka nga magbilang.
Eto na,
Okay. Kumuha ka na lang agad.
hindi ako magbibilang. Pag mauna yung kamay, pag mauna yung kamay ko, pwede mo na yung pera.
Galaw ka na rin. Okay, go.
Sir, nauna. Paano kasi, sir? Yung kamay niya ang babataas ng akin.
Naguguluhan na si Sir sa'yo!
Okay. Sige, Limuel. Okay, salamat. Okay, Valyes. Okay, let's see for Joseph.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Very good, Limuel. Okay. Go. Joseph.
Ito, sir.
Okay, sige nga. Yung dalawang kamay. Patingin.
Ito.
Yung pera nandyan. Pag nakuha mo yung pera, sa'yo na yan, ha? Kamo, ha?
Sabi ko si ubos mo eh.
Dapat 1,000 pala, sir. 20 lang to eh.
Okay, go.
Yung kamay mo. Sir. Paunahan namin. Wait lang, sir. Explain ko lang kay ate ko, sir.
Okay. Yung kamay nandyan niya. Tapos yung kamay mo nasa taas, ha? Malayo yung konti. Okay. Tapos gagalaw lang yung kamay mo kung...
Sir.
Gagalaw lang yung kamay ng kalaban mo kapag gumalaw ka na. Okay.
Tapos, sir.
Okay, ready?
Sir. Nakuha, sir.
Ayan. Ayun na yan, ha? Okay. Isa pa. Pag nag-experiment, it should be 3 times.
Dapat ginawa mo muna.
Ay, kita ba yung kamay ko, sir? Sa taas
Okay,
na,
yes.
sir.
Kita. Very good. Nakikita.
Sir. Ulit.
Very good. Okay, so, thank you so much, Joseph.
Siyempre, ikaw yung nasa taas.
Mayroon kang 95. Okay, so, very good.
Alam mo kung ano, yung...
Okay, so,
Pwede po
Thank you, sir.
okay, yes. Sino pa?
Sir, ako po.
Go, Torres. Rolly.
Ubak po, sir.
Ay, Ubak. Go. Sige. Okay, very good, Joseph. Okay. Linwell, ganun dapat ang ginawa nyo kay Joseph, ha? Okay, go. Oh, Christine.
Opo, sir.
Oh, camera. Please open.
Opo, sir. Dali na. Dali na. Dali na. Dali na.
Hindi ko alam kung paano yung function
Please.
yan.
Basta, tuturo ko sa'yo. Mabilis lang to. Go.
Okay.
Dito na.
Paano?
Dito ka. Dito ka.
Sino yung partner mo?
Christine.
Christine. Christine?
Kapatid ko po, sir. Bunso.
Okay, go. Sige. Kanino galing yung pera?
Akin po, sir. Kay mami ko po. so may barya ako. Ang goal mo is that, so ang kamay mo nandito sa baba, dito, yun ang kamay mo. Flat mo ha.
Camera.
Tapos yung kamay ko nandito sa taas.
Okay, paano kayo makukuha mong kalibig?
Hindi.
Kakaperanggot nga lang, oh.
Ayos na yun.
Then gagalaw lang
dapat
yung kamay.
Tapos,
Gagalaw lang
pag
yung
gumalaw
kamay
ang
ng
kamay
kalaban.
ko,
Paano kayo hindi?
pag gumalaw nga, basta pag gumalaw, kung hindi, ay na-stroke na ako. Go. So, pag nakuha, yung ano mo, yung kukunin mo yung pera kapag gumalaw ang kamay ko. Ready? Huli! Ginawluto ka ng lumpia. Okay na po, sir.
Three
Sorry,
times.
basta.
Christine,
Sir,
3 times.
Sir,
Ang experiment always 3 times.
Sir, umalis na po siya.
Umalis na.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, sige, very good. Okay, di ba? Okay, so very good. Faye and Dinwell. Now, thank you so much sa inyo. Okay, plus points. Ang tanong dito, how does science explain that event? Sinong pwede makapagpaliwanag based on science? Anyone? Ano ba yun? Magic lang ba yun? Okay, how does science explain to that? Okay, so the science explained to that is that the information will start from where? Saan mag-uumpisa? Okay, para makuha ang information, saan mag-uumpisa ang information? It will start from the brain. Sasabihin ng brain, kay Christine, sabi ng brain, kamay, kunin mo yung pera. Okay, so kukunin niya yung pera. Okay, so then pagkasabi doon, gagalaw na yung kamay, then bibiyahe punta roon, tapos babalik ulit pupunta sa brain. Na yung partner, ano ang biyahe ng information sa partner? Mula saan? Mula sa mata, anong sunod? The information will be conveyed from the eyes. Okay, so start from the eyes, then from the eyes, it will run to the brain. Then the brain will instruct for the hands to pick the money. Okay, so there is what? There is a gap. There was a time gap between that. So hindi talaga sila magsasabay. Kaya kahit anong-ano mo doon, hindi talaga maaabutan yung pera nung kalaban mo kahit pa siya malapit pa. It's because there's a time gap, okay, with the reaction with that. Okay, and the time that will explain for that is that it travels from the eyes to the brain, then from the brain to your hands. Okay, it would take at least 1/7 seconds. Okay, so bago niya gawin 'yun. Okay, so hindi siya there is a there is the information will be conveyed from the eyes to the brain to the hands, and from the hands to the brain back. Okay, so how many seconds? It would take what? 1/7 seconds. Okay, so and the system that is involved with that event is what? What system is involved in that event? Huy.
Nervous share.
Hindi kayo sumasagot. May sumagot. Sino yun? Hindi ko narinig ang pangalan. Hindi ko nakita rito.
Bartolome siya.
Bartolome. Okay, Knives. Okay, so salamat, Knives. Ako talaga pangalan mo, Knives. Okay, so that's all about what? The system that is in charge of that is the nervous system. Okay, so now let's go back with the definition of a nervous system. How do we define nervous system? Anyone? Paano nga ba natin i-define ang nervous system? In your own idea. Wala akong kausap. Ano nangyari? Lahat tulog. Anyone? How do we recall nervous system? Nervous system is what? Based on what you have done. Nervous system is what? It is all about what? Okay, could you please read it? Andrea.
Sir,
Andrea? Sino ba si Andrea? Ba't hindi nag-respond? Si Jasmine Andrea. Jasmine?
The nervous system is your body, decision, and communication center.
Yes. Okay, so the nervous system is your body's decision and communication center. Now, in Filipino, how do we translate that? Okay, Joseph, could you please translate it to Filipino? Dalawa pala ang Joseph dito. Joseph Lance at saka Joseph Velasco. Okay, Joseph Lance, could you please translate it to Filipino? Our nervous system is all about what? Tulog. Tulog si Lance. How about Vincent? Vincent? Uy, wag nga kayong mag-open ng camera nang hindi naman kayo nakikinig. Kayo talaga. Pag nag-ano kayo, nag-online class, make sure na nakafocus kayo. Sayang yung data. Sayang yung ano, kunya-kunyari dito. Okay, so Joseph. Ay, ang dami palang Joseph dito. Joseph Velasco, Joseph Cunanan, Joseph Lance, Angay, tsaka si Joseph Flores. Ay, Kayla. Okay, so in Filipino, what is that? Could you please translate it to Filipino?
Sir, kada, sir.
Oh, yes, Aldwin.
Ano, sir, ang yung katawan, decision, at sentro ng yung komunikasyon.
Yes, anong nangangalagang sistema ng katawan?
Sir.
The nervous system. Okay, yes. Thank you so much, Aldwin. Okay, so that's all about, in terms of decision making and communication center. Okay, that's all about the nervous system. Okay, so kaya pag nawala ka sa ang katawan mo, nawala sa matinong komunikasyon, ang bawat isa, yung sinasabi mo hindi tumutugma sa ginagawa mo, meaning to say there is a problem with your nervous system. Okay, so yun yan. Now, the nervous system has the following parts. Okay, so may iba't ibang parte yan. Okay, so we have here the once again. Okay, so we have here the different parts. Okay, can you see the different parts of the brain?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is your time. This is your time to see your brain. Okay, so tingnan natin kung pareho mo nga ba, meron ka pang ganyan. Okay, so we have here the different parts of the brain. We have the forebrain, okay, the midbrain, and the hindbrain. Okay, now the forebrain, okay, so we have here the center part. Okay, the center part. Ito yung we have here the forebrain. Okay, so the forebrain. Then we have here the midbrain, or part of this one, midbrain, sa bandang gitna. Then bandang likod, we call this as the hindbrain. Okay, so we call this as the hindbrain. We have here the parts of the brain. We have cerebellum, cerebral cortex, corpus callosum, thalamus, hypothalamus, okay, then hippocampus, pituitary gland, midbrain, pons, medulla. Okay, now, so your assignment is that, okay, you are going to look for, on the Google, a picture about the parts of the brain. Then all you have to do, okay, so you're going to draw or print it, then papatungan mo siya ng, okay, gagawan parang mosaic ang dating niya. Papatungan mo siya ng any recyclable materials. Okay, so let's say yung wrappers ng Nova, wrappers ng kung ano pa, then bulak, kung ano pa yung ano dyan. Then lalagyan mo siya ng parts. Okay, so please choose, okay, the best parts of the brain. Okay, so and you are going to make it as a decorative sa bahay. Okay, so ang labas ng inyong gagawin ay parang decorative. Okay, so pang dekorasyon sa bahay. Para pag may problema sa pag-iisip sa bahay ninyo, double check niyo baka nawala na siya noon. Nawala na siya ng hippocampus. Okay, so parang ganun. Okay, now the cerebellum, okay, so controls your movement and balance. Okay, dito. Na, are you familiar sa mga taong magaling mag-ballet?
Yes, sir.
Uy,
Yes, sir.
si Aldwin lang yung sumasagot.
Yes,
Ibig
sir.
sabihin, si Aldwin lang ang may magandang nervous system kasi mabilis ang feedback niya. Mabilis mag-isip. Okay, so yung iba may problema pa talaga sa nervous system. Okay, that's all about balance. Okay, so now, ang mga nagbabali, sila yung may tinatawag na perfect ang pagkagawa sa cerebellum. Cerebellum controls or administers body balance. Siya yung nag-ano sa balance. Pag hindi masyado develop ang iyong cerebellum, hihiluhin ka. Kumbaga, ang tawag dito, kunting ano lang, hihilo ka na. So, hindi ka pwede sa mga matataas na lugar. Okay, so, kasi hindi well develop ang iyong cerebellum. Pero kung yan ay well develop, kahit pa magtumbling-tumbling, kahit pa anong mangyari, okay lang. Okay, so that's all about that one. Okay, so then we have here the hypothalamus, thalamus, okay, then hippocampus, this part. Hippocampus is your memory storage center of your brain. So lahat ng pinag-aaralan mo, dyan ini-store. Okay, so kaya pag may problem yung hippocampus mo, hindi ka makapag-memorya ng maayos. Okay, parang andun ang bubo-bubo ko naman, pero hindi naman ganun. Okay, so sa memory lang naman, sa memory. Ibig sabihin, pag hindi well-developed, mahina ka dyan. So that's all our brain. Okay, so now to give you the introduction all about the nervous system, please watch this video.
Our sense organs, which collect information from the surroundings, are connected to the central nervous system, which consists of brain and spinal cord through afferent nerves. If something happens that requires taking action, for example, if football is flying towards you, then the central nervous system receives impulses from the sense organ and it generates response which is carried to muscle through efferent nerve, and here that response will make the leg muscles contract to kick the ball. Though different sense organs work in different ways, they all keep sending information about the changes in the surroundings that trigger responses from the central nervous system.
Okay, so that was the introduction. That was the introduction all about nervous system, our nervous system. Okay, so yan yung nangangalaga sa ating lahat ng connections, lahat ng signals ay nasa atin. Okay, so then let's move on. We have here another video.
Our
The nervous system is made up of two parts. Each part contains billions of neurons. The first part is the central nervous system. It contains the brain and spinal cord, which is a fibrous, rope-like structure that runs through the spinal column down the middle of the back. The other part is the peripheral nervous system. It consists of thousands of nerves that connect the spinal cord to muscles and sensory receptors. The peripheral nervous system is responsible for reflexes. which help the body avoid serious injury. It's also responsible for the fight or flight response that helps protect you when you feel stress or danger. Let's examine an individual neuron up close. Here is a peripheral nerve. Each one of the nerve bundles, or fascicles, contains hundreds of individual nerve fibers. Here's an individual neuron with its dendrites, axon, and cell body. The dendrites are tree-like structures. Their job is to receive signals from other neurons and from special sensory cells that tell us about our surroundings. The cell body is the headquarters of the neuron. It contains the cell's DNA. The axon transmits signals away from the cell body to other neurons. Many neurons are insulated like pieces of electrical wire. The insulation protects them and allows their signals to move faster along the axon. Without it, signals from the brain might never reach muscle groups in the limbs. Motor neurons are responsible for voluntary control of the muscles all over the body. The operation of the nervous system depends on how well neurons communicate. For an electrical signal to travel between two neurons, it must first be converted to a chemical signal. Then it crosses a space about a millionth of an inch wide. The space is called a synapse. The chemical signal is called a neurotransmitter. Neurotransmitters allow the billions of neurons in the nervous system to communicate with one another. That's what makes the nervous system the body's master communicator. The dendrite
Okay, so based on the video, what have you learned? Anong natutunan? Uy. Wala natutunan?
Sir?
Okay, yes.
Kung paano na transmit ng signal from the brain papunta doon sa ibang parts ng body gamit yung natawag na sa body or nervous system.
Okay. So, yes. Okay, so that's all about the nervous system. And based on the video, you have learned that nervous system has the building blocks. Meaning to say, the building blocks or the one that comprise the nervous system, we call those as the neurons. Okay, so everybody say it, neurons.
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 Okay,
Neurons.
very good. Now, what is another term for neurons? Neurons is technical for science. Then there is another term. Okay, the generic term for neurons is what? We call it as letter N. N-E-R-V. We call those as?
Nervous.
Okay, we call those as nerve cells. Okay, so we call those as nerve cells. Okay, so Joseph and Ubak. Okay, so please remind me your classes, ha? Okay, so baka makalimutan ko. Okay, so Quint dyan, sino yung secretary natin? Nag-encode ng mga lagi naka-open ng cam.
Allegria, sir. Pero wala.
Nandito ba si Allegria? Okay, pakisabi hindi na siya maging secretary, ha? Okay, so hanap tayo ng isa pa. Sino kaya ang pwede maging secretary? Hindi po pwede yung maging secretary na wala-wala dito. Ikaw na lang kaya, Mr. President.
I don't know, sir.
Okay, o hanap ka kung sino man pwede. O si ano na, si Aldwin. Aldwin, ka na maging secretary, Aldwin.
Ayoko po, sir.
ayaw mo nun, may plus ka. Yung 75 mo, 76 na. Ikaw talaga. Okay. So, now, moving on. Okay, now the building blocks of nervous system, we have here the neurons. What is another term for neurons?
Nerve cells?
Sir Dendrite?
Okay, so we call those as nerve cells. Okay, so kasasabi ko lang, di ba kanina, so may problema ang inyong hippocampus. Okay, the memory storage. Okay, so we call those as nerve cells. Now, the nerve cells actually is one of the biggest cells of the body. Ang pinakamalaking biggest cell talaga is the egg cell, yung egg cell ng babae. The biggest cell of the human beings, we have the egg cell. Ang isa din sa mga malaking cells, ito nga yun, nerve cells. Okay, now, so there are millions, billions of nerve cells in your body. And take note of the following parts. There are three major parts of the nerve cells. What are those three major parts of the nerve cells or neurons?
Sir, mahinay, sir.
Okay, yes, mahinay.
The three parts of nerve cells or a neuron are dendrites, cell body, and axon.
Exactly. Okay, so there are three major parts. Mayroon pa namang ibang parts yun, but we have here the three major parts of the neurons. Okay, so we have here number one, we have here the dendrites, axon, and the cell body. Okay, now, so ang palatandaan nyo dito, okay, so para hindi nyo makalimutan is duck. Pag sinabing duck sa Bisaya, dakku. Okay, so may mga Bisaya ba dito? Pag sinabing dakku, ano ibig sabihin? Duck.
Malaki po, sir.
Yes, malaki. Okay, so pag sinabing dako, malaki. Halimbawa, malaking bunot, dakong bunot, ang ganon. Dakong kabayo, ganon, dako. Okay, so now we have here duck. Okay, duck stands for dendrites, axon, and a cell body. And we can also relate to duck, dako na cell. Okay, dako na cell sa katawan. Okay, so we call that as the duck. Dendrites, axon, and cell body. And those major parts, have different functions. Now, the dendrites is the receiving center. The dendrites, ito yun, yung galamay nakita nyo dito. Okay, the dendrites is what? Okay, the receiving section. Okay, it receives, dendrite receives information coming from other cells. Okay, so signals, ang tawag doon is signals. So, yung nabubuong signals, okay, so ay binibiyahe ng tinatawag na neurotransmitter. Okay, so yun. Dendrites. Then, ipapasa ngayon ng katawan dito sa cell body for process out ng cell body. Or, okay, so with the nucleus. Sa gitna ng cell body may nucleus. Diba? Ang cell naman may nucleus. Diba? Okay, so nandito yung tinatawag natin mga DNA. Okay, so it will be processed out here. Okay, so then, the information will be released out. Okay, so gamit ang axon. Okay, ito yun. Ito yung nakikita nyo, yung kulay dito. This is the axon. Okay, so palabas. Okay, then pagitan ng bawat dendrite and axon, we have here the axon na this part. Okay, then the pagitan ng axon at saka yung dendrites, ang tawag natin doon is synapse. Okay, now, ngayon, okay, so yung biyahe ng information, halimbawa tulad kanina, okay, so yung coin or yung barya, yung travel nun, it will travel through the signals of the body. Okay, ang tanong, sino nagmamanage nun? Okay, yung neurons din. Okay, so yung nerve fibers. Ngayon, pag may problema ang inyong nerve fibers, sinong specialist ang tatawagin ninyo? Pag may problem ang inyong mga neurons, anong tawag doon sa specialist na tinatawag natin? Wala. Okay, so we call that as neurologist. Okay, so kapag may mga problem dito, yun neurologist. Okay, so now the nervous system usually, okay, pagka nagkamali-mali ang signal, okay, so ito na yung tinatawag natin na minsan nababaliw tayo. Pag mali-mali ang mga komunikasyon sa buong katawan, ito na yung tinatawag na baliw. Pag ikaw nabaliw, ibig sabihin yung communication, yung transmission ay mali. Okay, you cannot perceive. Mayroong part sa brain mo that you cannot perceive which is right and which is wrong. Okay, yun tinatawag na baliw. Meron ba kayong kakilala na baliw? Wala man lang kayo sagot ng yes or no. Okay, so kinakausap po kayo. Okay,
Yes
so
po, sir.
okay, so thank you so much sa mga sumagot. Yung iba 19 kayo dito tapos walang sumasagot sa akin. Sayang yung data. Pag ganun, huwag na kayong mag-online kayo talaga. Okay, pinapahirapan niyo yung sarili ninyo. Pinapasa ko naman kahit walang ginawa eh. Okay, so Kasi pag pinaulit-ulit pa yung bagsak hindi nga nag-aaral ba't mo pa hindi ipapasa? Hayaan mo na lang siya, wala siya natutunan. Okay, so hindi, joke lang. Okay, so we have here the neurons. Okay, so pag ikaw ay nabaliw, ibig sabihin you cannot decide, the transmission is not correct. Okay, so it's not functioning well. Okay, so sa loob ng katawan. Okay, so that's all about our neurons. And the structure of our neuron is this one. Okay, so yung medyo detalyado. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you can take screenshot sa pakilagay sa inyong electronic portfolio ang inyong lecture para lagi kayong may pag-aaralan, lagi mo natutunan. Then later on, you can become a doctor, a nurse, okay, a police, a criminology students. Okay, so just do your best. Okay, so para matuto. Kasi habang mas maraming alam, mas maraming natutunan, mas umaangat ka sa komunidad. Okay, so pag wala kang alam, sa mababang alam, basurero ka lang. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabi masama maging basurero. Actually, maganda yan. Kaso nga lang, meron tayong kasing level ng trabaho. Depende sa ginagawa. Okay, so we have here the center, we have here the nucleus, then we have here the cell body. Yung buong ano na to is cell body, itong malaki. Okay, then we have here the axons. Okay, yung part nito. We have here the axon. Okay, yung part pupunta dito. Then pagitan ng nerve cell tsaka axon, dendrites. Okay, so we call it as the synapse. Okay, so diyan tinatransmit ang mga messages. Okay, para siyang anong pagkain ang kahugis niya? Sa palengke, anong pagkain? Wala kayong maalala na kahugis niya? Para siyang
rambutan, sir.
Rambutan. Okay, yes. Okay, so yung parang lumot sa palengke. Okay, so para siyang ganyan, no?
Sir.
Yes, parang seaweeds, di ba? Okay, so ang dating niya. Okay, so that's how our neurons are. Okay, then let's recall, nervous system is divided into two. Okay, two divisions. So what are the two divisions of the nervous system? We have what?
Central and peripheral.
Okay, yes. Central and the peripheral. Pag sinabi natin central, binubuo ito ng
brain and spinal cord.
Brain and spinal cord.
Okay. Spinal cord.
Yes. Okay, so that is central. Ibig sabihin pinaka-sentro. Now, sa labas ng sentro, mga taga-provincia.
Spinal cord, sir.
Yes. Okay, so sa labas ng sentro, ang tawag doon mga probinsya. Okay, so nandito kayo sa peripheral. Ibig sabihin mga gilid-gilid na part. Okay, now, so ano yung gumagana doon? Okay, so we have here the somatic and the autonomic. Okay, now, okay. Pag sinabi nating somatic and autonomic, okay, sila yung mga gumagawa sa mga instructions, whether automatic. Pag automatic, halimbawa, yung instructions na binibigay sa bawat glands. Okay, halimbawa, gumawa ka ng testosterone, gumawa ka ng progesterone. That's all about autonomic. Okay, so gumawa ka ng adrenaline kasi na-high blood tong okay, or may sunog o ano man. Okay, so that's autonomic. In terms of involuntary actions, ibig sabihin, okay, ito yung mga nerve cells na hindi na kailangang utusan. Sila na yung nagbibigay ng signal sa bawat glands na gumawa ng ganito, mag-transfer ng ganito, hindi na kailangang utusan. Yung somatic, ito yung nerve cells ninyo, makikita nyo sa inyong mga balat, okay, sa labas, yung kailangang utusan, kailangang gumalaw. Okay, so yung mga kailangan gumalaw, kailangan putusan ng brain. Yung kamay, pagdampot ng barya kanina, yung paggalaw, that's all about the somatic functions. Okay, so yung autonomic, yung paghinga nyo, breathing. Okay, so yung pag-release ng different hormones, that's all about autonomic. Now, we have two divisions of the autonomic. What are those? Divisions of the autonomic nervous system is what? Are what?
Sympathetic and parasympathetic.
Yes, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, so pag sinabing sympathetic, ito yung normal reaction ng katawan. Halimbawa, may kailangan buhatin. So may hormones na or may secretion na ilalabas para ka lumakas. Okay, so halimbawa, may kailangan mong tumakbo, may ahas. Ay, oh, may ahas. Okay, so yun yun. That's sympathetic. Okay, kumbaga that's automatic reflexes. Okay, so hindi na kailangan utusan ng brain. Ang brain, automatic kasi yan. Then yung pampakalma naman, halimbawa wala na yung ahas, okay, kalmado ka na. Okay, so ang naggumagawa naman yan, ang nagpapakalma naman yan, we call that as parasympathetic. Okay, pero lahat yan ay automatic ha. Okay, so hindi mo na kailangan sa, oy, pakalmahin mo naman ako sarili. Okay, so brain, nervous system, pakalmahin mo naman ako. Walang ganon. That's automatic. Okay, so kumbaga kusang nangyayari yan. So those are the divisions of the nervous system. Okay, so this one. Okay, now we have here the brain. Okay, so once again, the brain is what? How do we define brain?
Sir?
Bilas,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, go. Velasco.
Babasaan, sir?
Yes.
The brain is the control center of the nervous system. It has their main parts for the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Moreover, it's divided into their main regions and the cerebellum, and brainstem.
Okay, thank you so much, Joseph. Okay, so that's all about our brain. Brain is the control center. Okay, kumbaga ito yung pinaka-CPU. Kaya pag kayo ay namatay, okay, so pag wala nang, okay, tawag doon, pag wala nang tibok yung puso mo as being controlled by our brain, okay, you are considered dead. Okay, so because it's our brain that dictates with it. Okay, so for that one, ibig sabihin, you are totally dead. Okay, so we have here the different parts. Now, take screenshots of this one. Take screenshots of this lecture. Please memorize. Okay, so we have three major parts of the brain. We have three major parts. We have what? Forebrain, midbrain, and
hindbrain.
Hindbrain. Okay, now, forebrain, mayroon tayong tinatawag na cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus, amygdala, then we have here the hippocampus. Okay, take screenshots. The cerebrum is all about the intelligence and thinking. Okay, so dito yung ano ninyo, yung pag-iisip, okay, it's being controlled by cerebrum. Okay, now, for the frontal lobe, okay, so yan ang nag-aasikaso saan? Sa yung nasa harap ng ulo ninyo, nasa harap ng ulo nyo ha. Okay, so siya yung nag-aasikaso sa speech, okay, emotions, and problem solving. Kaya pag may problema yung inyong frontal lobe, hindi ka marunong mag-solve o may problem ka sa math or may problem ka sa salita. Okay, so yun yan. Kaya mapapansin ninyo yung mga pinapalo sa harap na apektuhan. Then we have here parietal lobe. Parietal lobe. Okay, so it's for recognition and perception. Okay, so orientation and the recognition and perception of stimuli. Then for occipital, that's for your vision sa inyong mata. Okay, pag ito ang hindi well-developed, ibig sabihin, mataas ang grado ng mata mo. Okay, then we have here temporal lobe, okay, for the recognition of auditory, mga pandinig. Okay, so that's temporal lobe. Thalamus is your for what? Relays motor and sensory signal to the cerebrum. Hypothalamus, okay, regulates sleep-wake cycle. Marami ba itong function? Ano lang to ha? Kinuhaan lang ng isa. There could be lots of functions. And there could be overlapping functions. Merong, kumbaga, they coordinate with each other. Minsan nag-overlap na yung tinatrabaho nila. Okay, for example, the hypothalamus, sleep-wake cycle. Ibig sabihin yung pagtulog mo, pagising mo, that is controlled by hypothalamus. Okay, so kaya ayusin yung pagtulog ninyo. It should be regular para yung brain ninyo hindi nahihilo. Okay, so sa part ng brain ninyo meron kayo tinatawag na clock ng brain clock. Anong tawag natin sa brain clock? Ang orasan ng ating katawan, ang tawag doon, we call it as circadian rhythm. Okay, so research is on Google. Okay, so siya yung nag-ano sa sleep-wake cycle. Okay, so that's for circadian rhythm. Then we amygdala. Okay, fear and aggression. That is being controlled by amygdala. Then hippocampus holds memory storage and retrieval. Okay, so dyan, tinitambak lahat ng mga pinag-aaralan mo. Kaya pag may problema ang hippocampus mo, hirap ka mag-aral. Wala kang mamemorya. Okay, so kasasabi pa lang ng teacher, kinalimutan mo na pag hindi well-developed ang iyong hippocampus. Halimbawa, anak, bumili ka nga ng toyo. Okay, anong nabili? Suka. Okay, so na iba yung binibili. Midbrain connects forebrain and hindbrain. Hindbrain, we have here the cerebellum. Okay, cerebellum is what? For your coordination, movement, posture, and balance. Okay, so yun. Then we have here the pons and medulla oblongata. Okay, that's all about the parts of our brain. Now, nabalitaan niyo ba yung di ba kapag may mga nag-aaway, ano ang kinukuha nila pag may nag-aaway mo? May gusto nilang kunin. Usually, anong ginagawa sa kaaway? Pinapalo ng pinapalo. Yes, pinapalo ng 2x2. Kapag pinalo, saan banda ang target?
Sa ulo po. Sa ulo.
Yes, sa ulo. Okay. So, ang usual target niyan ay nasa cerebellum kasi siya yung center at saka balance. Pag yan pinalo sa likod, binatukan mo sa likod, okay, so mahihilo siya. Okay, kaya pag yan ay binatukan mo ng 2x2 sa ulo, panalo ka na, tumba na yung kalaban mo. Okay, pero wag mong gagawin yun, masama yun na, wag mo yung gagawin. Okay, so we have here, cerebellum is your for balance. Okay, so for that one. Then for your intelligence, anong part ng brain? Thinking and intelligence, yung pag-iisip. Anong part ng brain?
Cerebrum.
Okay, yes. That's cerebrum. Okay, the memory center of your brain?
Hippocampus.
Yes, we call it as hippocampus. Okay, what they call the little brain. Okay, tinawag siyang little brain kasi dito para siyang brain na mag-isa dito, cerebellum. Okay, so we call that as the little brain. Okay, so now we have here another video all about the nervous system.
The central nervous system. Objective: to learn about the central nervous system. The nervous system is responsible for sending, receiving, and interpreting information from all parts of the body. It responds to external stimuli and also monitors and coordinates the functions of internal organs. The central nervous system is composed of the brain and spinal cord. Both are enclosed in protective layers called meninges. The outer layer is called the dura mater. The middle layer is
Okay, so that's the layer that protects your brain. We have here the meninges. Okay, so parang ano siya, protection, caution sa inyong brain. Na kahit ka madagukan, kumbaga kahit ikaw mabunggo, mauntog, okay, so may protection yung loob ng brain mo. We call that as meninges. Kaya pag yan na butas, kapag yan na infect, okay, so nagkaroon ng infection, anong sakit mo? Ano ang tawag natin doon? We call it as meningitis. Okay, so yung meninges, kapag yan na-infect na nabutas, kung ano man, okay, you can have the so-called meningitis. Okay, so let's move on now.
The central nervous system.
Okay, so now these are the reflexes. Kumbaga ito yung nag-monitor sa iyong mga actions. Okay, kung the fight or flight, okay, part. Okay, so we have here this one. Please listen.
The autonomic nervous system, or ANS, is the part of the nervous system that regulates activities of internal organs. The ANS is largely autonomous, acting independently of the body's consciousness and voluntary control. It has two main divisions, sympathetic, SNS, and parasympathetic, PSNS. In situations that require alertness and energy, such as facing danger or doing physical activities, the ANS activates its sympathetic division to mobilize the body for action. This division increases cardiac output, accelerates respiratory rate, releases stored energy, and dilates pupils. At the same time, it also inhibits body processes that are less important in emergencies, such as digestion and urination. On the other hand, during ordinary situations, the parasympathetic division conserves and restores. It slows heartbeats, decreases respiratory rate, stimulates digestion, removes waste, and stores energy. The sympathetic division is therefore known as the fight or flight response, while the parasympathetic division is associated with the rest and digest state. Despite having opposite effects on the same organ, the SNS and PSNS are not mutually exclusive. In most organs, both systems are simultaneously active, producing a background rate of activity called the autonomic tone, a balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic inputs. This balance shifts one way or the other in response to the body's changing needs. Some organs, however, receive inputs from only one system. For example, the smooth muscles of blood vessels only receive sympathetic fibers, which keep them partially constricted and thus maintaining normal blood pressure.
Okay, so that's all about our sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, so which are parts of the autonomic nervous system. So kapag ikaw ay nanenervyos, kumbaga ikaw ay ano ba, tatakbo ba ako? Hindi. Okay, so that's fight or flight. Ano 'yan? Anong division ng autonomic? We call that as sympathetic nervous system. Okay, so halimbawa, naiihi ka. So controlled yan ng sympathetic. Okay, so that's for automatic. Okay, halimbawa, ihi ka na. Okay, sa yun, or na ano ka, tawag doon, naiihi ka. So ngayon, kung wala pang CR, anong sasabihin ng parasympathetic? Anong sasabihin niya? Ops, relax ka lang. Okay, so mamaya ka pa. Okay, pero pag malapit ka na sa CR, kahit hindi mo na utusan yan, lalabas at lalabas yan. Okay, so that's all about sympathetic and parasympathetic. Kung halimbawa, nakita mo si crush mo, okay, yung heartbeat mo lalakas yan. Okay, so ngayon, pag wala na si crush mo, sasabihin naman yan ng parasympathetic, oh, wala na si crush mo. Relax lang. Okay, so parang ganun. Pero that's automatic. Okay, hindi na kailangan utusan. Okay, nangyayari yan ng pusa. Okay, so thank you so much, okay, for listening. Okay, so nakalimutan ko. There are 3 types of neurons. Okay, so we have the efferent, afferent, and interneurons. Okay, so pag sinabing efferent, ito yung nerve cells. Okay, na nagdadala ng information mula sa brain papunta sa glands. Okay, so efferent yun, F. Okay, pag afferent, okay, mula sa katawan mo, mula sa parts ng iyong katawan, papunta naman sa brain. Okay, so from the sensory receptors to the CNS. Ibig sabihin, mula sa paa mo, mula sa kamay, papunta sa brain, ang nagdadala nun na pangalan ng neurons ay afferent or sensory. Efferent is motor neuron. Then sa pagitan ng dalawang yan, nandyan yung interneuron. Okay, carry and process sensory information. Okay, so thank you and God bless. Okay, see you next week. Okay, so hindi pa ako nakapag-input doon sa Google Classroom. Sobrang busy si sir. Ang daming ginagawa. Okay, so sige. Thank you so much. Bye-bye sa inyo.
Bye,
Ingat,
sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Palagi. Picture mo. Picture. Smile. Okay, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, bye-bye. Ingat palagi. Mr. President,
Bye, sir.
yung natin secretary, ha?
Yes, sir.
Bye, sir.
Okay. Wag na si Alegria.